You've watched it 100 times. Birds landing, birds leaving, seeds disappearing. You thought it was random. It was never random. There is a system running at your feeder every single day. A rigid, ancient, ruthlessly enforced system. And you are part of it, whether you know it or not. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly who controls your feeder, how they control it, and what you've been doing that throws the entire system into chaos. Let's start with something you've probably already noticed but never had a name for. One bird lands. Another bird was already there. And then, one of them leaves. It happens fast. Sometimes there's a sound. Sometimes just a look. Sometimes one bird simply shifts its body and the other one flies off without a word. That wasn't an accident. That wasn't random aggression. That was a negotiation, and the terms were settled before either bird landed. Because birds that visit your feeder don't arrive as strangers. They arrive knowing exactly where they rank. Every single one of them. Ornithologists call this a dominance hierarchy. Researchers at the Cornell Lab of Ornithology have documented it across dozens of backyard species. The rankings are stable, consistent, and deeply personal. Personal, meaning your birds know each other. Not just as species, as individuals. Your blue jay knows your robin. Your robin knows your sparrow. They have history. And at the top of that history, at the top of nearly every hierarchy at a North American backyard feeder, you will almost always find the same bird. The blue jay. Cyanocida cristata. Loud, brilliant, and completely misunderstood by almost everyone who watches it. Most people see a blue jay arrive at their feeder and think, bully, aggressive, rude, taking more than its share, scaring off the smaller birds. That reading is almost entirely wrong. And understanding why it's wrong will change how you see everything happening at your feeder from this moment forward. The blue jay is not a bully. It is an executive. It enforces a structure that, without it, would collapse into something far more chaotic and far more dangerous for every bird involved. Here is what the research actually found. In a stable feeder hierarchy, aggressive encounters are rare. The lower-ranked birds don't challenge the higher-ranked birds, because they already know the outcome. Most of the displacement you see at your feeder isn't violence. It's communication. One bird signals its rank. The other bird reads the signal. The interaction ends in under 3 seconds. This system conserves energy for everyone. No injuries. No prolonged fights. No wasted calories. The hierarchy exists so the birds don't have to fight every single time they're hungry. Now watch a blue jay arrive at a feeder with an established hierarchy. It lands. It looks around. Possibly it makes a sound. And within seconds, every other bird has subtly shifted position. Not because they're afraid. Because they're informed. They know this bird. They know its rank. The calculation happens in milliseconds and the system resets itself without a single injury. What does the blue jay actually do at the top of this hierarchy? More than you think. Much more than eating. Blue jays are sentinel species. When a blue jay calls, that sharp, descending alarm, it's broadcasting threat information to every bird within earshot, including birds of other species. Researchers have documented other species, including robins, chickadees, and sparrows, responding to blue jay alarm calls even when they cannot see the source of the threat themselves. The blue jay at your feeder is not just eating your sunflower seeds. It is, in a very real sense, running security for the entire yard. And the other birds know this. This is why the hierarchy isn't simply about who eats first. It's about who provides the most value to the collective. Rank and function are connected in ways scientists are still working to understand. Now let's move down the hierarchy. Because what happens in the middle levels is where things get genuinely complicated, and where most of what you're watching actually takes place. Below the blue jay in most North American backyard hierarchies, you'll typically find mid-sized thrushes. And one of the most reliably present mid-tier birds at suburban feeders is the American robin. The robin's position is interesting and unstable. Unlike the jay, which holds a fixed rank across almost all interactions, the robin's position shifts depending on context, season, and who else is present. During breeding season, a male robin at your feeder is a completely different social actor than the same robin in November. His rank climbs. His posture changes. His willingness to hold ground increases. University of Cambridge researchers studying dominance in thrush species found that seasonal hormonal shifts can move an individual bird up or down in a local hierarchy by 2 or 3 positions within a matter of days. 2 or 3 positions. In a hierarchy that might have 8 or 10 birds using the same feeder. That's a significant shift, and the other birds track it in real time. Watch your robin in early spring. Watch how it holds its body. Watch where it positions itself relative to the jay. You'll see the calculation happening in posture before you ever see it in action. The robin communicates rank through something ornithologists call postural signaling. The angle of the body. The position of the wings. Whether the tail is raised or lowered. Whether the head is angled toward or away from a competitor. This is a language. Not metaphorically, a literal communication system with consistent signals and consistent responses. Your birds are speaking to each other every time they share the same space. You've been watching the words. You just didn't know it was a language. Now to the bottom of the hierarchy. And this is where things get genuinely surprising, because the bottom of the hierarchy is not where you'd expect it to be. Most people assume small birds rank low. Sparrows look small, look plain, look unremarkable. So they must be at the bottom. This assumption is wrong in ways that are important to understand. House sparrows, Passer domesticus, are one of the most socially sophisticated species at any suburban feeder. Their internal hierarchy is not simple. It is a hierarchy within a hierarchy. Among house sparrows sharing a feeder, rank is determined primarily by badge size. Male sparrows carry a black bib on their chest. The larger and darker the bib, the higher the rank. This was documented in rigorous field studies going back decades. The bib is not decoration. It is a rank display, visible at a glance, readable by every other sparrow in the vicinity. A male sparrow with a large black bib doesn't have to fight to eat first among sparrows. He displays. The smaller bibbed males read the signal and yield. The system is efficient and nearly frictionless. Cornell Lab researchers who fitted sparrows with colored bands to track individuals found that bib size predicted feeding order with remarkable consistency across multiple seasons and multiple locations. What this means for your feeder: the sparrows you're watching aren't a flock of equals jostling for position. They are a ranked social unit, and the ranking has been stable for weeks or months. Here is the part that most backyard observers never reach. The part that changes the picture entirely. These three hierarchies, jay at the top, robin in the middle, sparrow flock with its own internal order, do not operate in isolation. They intersect. And the intersection point is your feeder. Your feeder is not just a food source. It is a shared social space. And shared social spaces require rules that cross species lines. Rules about who approaches, when, from which direction, and in what order. When a blue jay lands on one side of your feeder and a dominant bibbed house sparrow is already feeding on the other side, a cross-species negotiation begins. And it operates on rules that neither species invented alone. Researchers call this interspecific dominance, the ranking of individuals across different species at a shared resource. It's been documented at feeders across the continental United States. And it's remarkably consistent. Larger-bodied birds tend to rank above smaller-bodied birds in cross-species encounters. But there are exceptions, and the exceptions reveal something about how sophisticated this system actually is. A highly dominant house sparrow, at a feeder it has used for months, can displace a robin that is new to that specific location. Familiarity with a resource is itself a form of rank. The bird that has been using your feeder longer has a kind of territorial claim, not ownership but priority of familiarity. New arrivals start at the bottom, regardless of their species ranking. This is why you sometimes see a small bird hold its ground against a larger bird in a way that seems impossible. The small bird isn't being brave. It's asserting its historical claim to that specific location. And now, the part about you. The part about what you've been doing to this system without knowing it. Every time you change something about your feeder setup, you trigger a hierarchy reset. New feeder, new location, new food type, even a new perch configuration. The birds have to renegotiate from scratch. That renegotiation is what looks like chaos. Birds chasing birds. More frequent displacements. More vocalizations. More time spent in confrontation and less time spent actually feeding. It's not aggression increasing. It's the system re-establishing itself. And the time it takes to stabilize depends on how disruptive the change was and how long the existing hierarchy had been in place. A feeder that's been in the same location, stocked with the same seed, for an entire winter will have a deeply stable hierarchy. Move it 6 feet to the left, and you've disrupted months of established social order. Most people who move their feeders around trying to find the best spot are unknowingly preventing the hierarchy from ever fully stabilizing. The birds never stop fighting because the rules never stop changing. There's something else. Feeder design itself influences hierarchy expression. Platform feeders, flat, open surfaces, allow multiple birds to feed simultaneously and create more frequent dominance encounters. Tube feeders with limited ports force a sequential feeding system that more closely mirrors the natural hierarchy. The dominant bird feeds. It leaves. The next bird feeds. The system expresses itself more cleanly. This doesn't mean one design is better. It means the feeder you choose shapes the social life of every bird that uses it. That's not a trivial observation, it's an architectural decision with behavioral consequences. And then there's the seed. Sunflower seeds are the currency of feeder hierarchies. High caloric density, easy to handle, universally preferred across species. When sunflower seeds are present, competition intensifies at every level. Millet draws sparrows disproportionately. Peanuts draw jays. If you want to reduce cross-species hierarchy friction at a single feeder, separating preferred foods by feeder station reduces the shared resource pressure. 3 feeders, one stocked with sunflower seeds, one with millet, one with peanuts, often results in 3 parallel, largely non-overlapping hierarchies. Less confrontation. More feeding time per bird. More stability overall. You have been influencing this system every single day. Not through intention. Through presence, routine, design, and the choices you made when you filled the feeder this morning. Now here is something most people never think about. You are also in the hierarchy. Not as a ranked competitor, but as a recognized environmental actor. The birds at your feeder know your silhouette. They know your approach pattern. They know the sound of your door. A person who fills the feeder on the same schedule, approaches from the same direction, and moves at the same pace becomes a predictable element in the bird's environment. Predictability reduces threat assessment. Researchers have documented that birds at feeders with consistent human presence acclimate significantly faster than birds at feeders where human presence is irregular. Irregular presence registers as a potential threat every single time. Your consistency, your routine, is itself a form of communication to the birds. You are not just feeding them. You are signaling your place in their world. A safe, predictable, resource-providing presence. The blue jay that waits on the branch while you fill the feeder and flies down the moment you step back? That bird has assessed you. It has filed you under known, non-threatening, resource associated. That classification took time. It was earned through repetition. And it places you, in a very quiet, very real sense, inside the social fabric of your yard. Think about that. You are not observing the hierarchy from outside it. You are a variable inside it. A recognized actor. A familiar presence that the birds have already decided how to relate to. The jay knows you. Not the way another jay knows it, but in the way that matters to a blue jay assessing whether to approach a feeder. You have been evaluated. You have passed. There is a discipline in ornithology called social network analysis, mapping the relationships, histories, and individual reputations. When researchers apply social network analysis to backyard feeder populations, they find something that looks less like a simple hierarchy and more like a web. A web of relationships, histories, and individual reputations. Individual reputations. A specific blue jay that has successfully displaced competitors repeatedly will be yielded to more quickly than a jay of equal size that hasn't. Its reputation precedes it. A robin that has been coming to the same yard for 3 winters accumulates something like standing. A recognized presence that other birds factor into their own behavior when deciding where and when to feed. These are not simple animals operating on simple instinct. These are individuals navigating a complex, ongoing social reality, the same reality at a different scale, that plays out in every community of social animals on Earth. Including yours. Now pull back. Way back. Past your yard. Past your neighborhood. Into the larger pattern of what this kind of research is beginning to reveal about backyard birds as a subject of serious scientific inquiry. For decades, backyard feeders were not considered serious research sites. Too messy. Too many variables. Too influenced by human behavior. Real ornithology happened in the field in controlled conditions. That view is changing. The scale of data available from coordinated backyard observation networks, eBird now has over 1 billion bird observations, has made the backyard one of the richest datasets in behavioral ecology. Your feeder is not a curiosity. It is a data point in one of the largest distributed research efforts in the history of natural science. The birds you watch are being watched in aggregate by researchers around the world. And what those researchers are finding is that the systems visible at your feeder, hierarchy, negotiation, reputation, individual recognition across species, are more sophisticated than the field was prepared to accept even 15 years ago. The birds at your feeder are not simpler than you assumed. They are more complex. They are running cognitive and social operations that we are only beginning to have tools sophisticated enough to measure. Go back to your feeder now. Watch what happens when the blue jay arrives. Watch the sequence. Watch the positions. Watch who moves, who stays, who edges slightly to the left. You'll see something different than what you saw before you started watching this. Not because the birds changed, Because your ability to read what they're doing has changed. That's what knowledge does at a bird feeder. It doesn't add something artificial to a natural scene. It removes the noise, and suddenly the signal is everywhere. The system was always running. The negotiations were always happening. The hierarchy was always being expressed and enforced and gently renegotiated. You were just watching without a translation. Now you have one. And the next time your blue jay lands and the robin shifts 3 inches to the right, and the sparrow angles its body almost imperceptibly away, you'll know exactly what just happened. A rule was enforced. A rank was confirmed. And the system that has been running in your yard for longer than you've been paying attention continued, quietly, without interruption. The feeder hasn't changed. The birds haven't changed. But what you're seeing when you look at them, that has changed completely. Tell me something. Have you ever noticed one bird consistently arrive before all the others? One bird that the rest seem to wait for without anyone ever being told to wait? Tell me which one it was. Tell me what yard it happened in. I want to know what you saw.